Everyone dreams of living an uncommon life, and the best asset you have to achieve your dreams is you. Welcome to the Uncommon Wealth Podcast. We're going to introduce you to people who are living uncommonly. We're also going to give you some tools and strategies for building wealth and for pursuing an uncommon path that is uniquely right for you.
Hello, welcome everybody to the episode of Uncommon Wealth Podcast, where I'm your host, Philip Ramsey.
And I'm Arron Cramer.
And it's one of your favorite ones. Everyone loves simple steps. And that's what we're going to do today. Yeah. Simple step. Arron has no idea what we're talking about. I always throw things at him, and he does a great job listening and thinking through this. They're under 5 minutes. Here is the topic. There's an ancient proverb, and it says, even a paper has two sides. And in context, meaning even a piece of paper has two sides. So when you hear of a situation, or let's say you're listening to a friend and they're telling you their sob story or something, like, just know that there's always two sides. There's two perspectives to give good, sound judgment, because we all are skewed, and we're always going to give people our perspective or our perception of the situation. Yeah. So even a piece of paper has two sides, which is fairly deep.
Yeah. I have my personal example here of young, dumb Arron. If you don't know, I've dated my wife since high school. And we went to college at separate colleges. And of course, you always got to think about this. Like, when majority of the time, us humans, when we talk about somebody, it's because we're upset with somebody. Mm-hmm. And my roommate in college started disliking my wife. And it was because I was always complaining about, anytime I ever said something about my wife, it was complaining.
Ah, interesting.
Which is funny because, like, again, if my roommate would have asked my wife of those same things, there's two sides to every story.
That's right.
Right. So, like, so always be cautious about that. Like, understand, like,
especially when you're giving counsel. And I always usually say this to somebody when I'm hearing it, because, like, this happens in marriages, and I'll give you a quick example of that. But whenever I hear that, I'm always just like, listen, like, that might not be the perspective that, your wife is coming at, or there might be a different thing, or maybe let me talk to your wife because something seems off. Like, everything adds up to being like, you're 100% right, which sounds, it's probably not the case. So yeah. I love looking at things in this way. Like, we all have shaded, like, sunglasses on. Like, let's say I have blue shaded sunglasses and you have red shaded sunglasses, and a white car drives by. And I'm like, that thing was blue. That was the prettiest blue car I've ever seen. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, that pink car that drove by? Like, yeah. You're out of your mind. And so if you go to somebody and you're like, I just saw the prettiest blue car, and you're like, he's out of his mind. Like, both of us are right in our own way, right? Like, we are truly giving you our perspective, which is wrong, by the way, because it's white and neither one of us are right. But, like, we're giving that to somebody and they're looking at it and talking to that person. So if they only have one side of it, they'd be like, well, I bet you it was a pretty blue car. But they do have two sides, and you're saying, no, it was red, it was pink, or whatever. So I think that's, like, even a piece of paper has two sides. So I think that's something, a little bit of wisdom application for when people, I know all of our uncommon, like, clients, they want to impact the world, and they do, and they impact people individually, and they are impacting the world. But sometimes whenever you get and hear something, just know that there's always two perspectives, and trying to understand both of them before you give counsel, I think, is a wise tip.
Yes. I think super wise. And going to, like, the source too, before you
get it.
Figure it out. So yeah.
Flip that piece of paper over, read that other side. Then give your.
I know this is 5 minutes. The only thing that's really hit me when you say this, I just gotta say this.
Do it.
If you're listening and you're married, and if you've gone through marriage counseling of any sort, and if you're a guy, this is going to impact you, because us guys are always so direct and we say things. And I remember me and my wife, because I'm a big believer in therapy and in counseling. I was like, this is what I said. And the counselor, my good therapist, was like, that's not what she heard. I was like, but that's what I said. And she's like, yeah, but she heard this. I'm like, that is not what I said. She's like, that's what she heard, though. And that's what matters. I'm like,
good.
dang it. So like her perspective on that other side of the piece of the paper is completely different than what I wrote down on the other side of the front.
That's
on
right.
that paper. And you got to learn that. And as a guy, you got to learn how to talk to your wife so she hears what you actually say, and vice versa. But man, two sides of a piece of paper can be hard.
It sure is. All right. Keep living your uncommon life. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to Uncommon Wealth Podcast. Until next time, be uncommon.
That's all for this episode, brought to you by Uncommon Wealth Partners. Be sure to visit uncommonwealth.com to learn more about our services. Don't miss an episode as we introduce you to inspiring people who are actively pursuing an uncommon life.